Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast.
We have the one and only Mr. Tom Hutler. Do you have any of your favorite stories from the Kingdom?
There was a time we had an earthquake, and so they were going to evacuate the building. So I was like getting up to go and leave. And they go, "No, you can't go. You got to read these safety things." It's like,
do we need to tell them that there's smoking's only on the exterior ramp?
Yeah. And Dave came shooting past. He signed off. I'm going, wait, I'm the only one here.
Listen and subscribe to Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
What up? This is Myron, and you are listening or checking out on YouTube the Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast, a Down on the Docks on the other side of the tracks 5-star dive bar podcast. And hey, we're coming right after game one of the ALCS. The Mariners going to Toronto, and the storyline was, this is going to be tough. This is going to be probably a game that you need to score a bunch of runs. You're going to maybe have to put 6 or 7 on the board because of what Bryce Miller's been like all year long. And then you get to the playoffs and you throw all that shit out the window, don't you, Hannah? We have a low-scoring game. We have an absolute ace of a performance after the first inning. And even let's credit him getting out of that first inning with the 27 pitches. You get 6 innings from Bryce Miller. The Mariners win this game 3-1. How you feeling?
Yeah, real good. I mean, yeah, we heard all that stuff you just mentioned, but, for a while now, teams and people throughout baseball have said that, the Mariners would be dangerous because of their pitching in the playoffs, and boy, by golly, that sure was the case tonight.
I bet you by golly, wow, you are correct, because this pitching staff, as advertised, let's just think about the Mariners as you think of them as a whole in the last few years, and you saw the score, you'd go, that's probably a typical win that you'd see them get in the playoffs, not knowing what they've went through this season. And looking at the lineup that the Mariners have, they should be scoring more runs. They left a lot of runs out there tonight, a lot of opportunities kind of squandered away. We've kind of seen that now for the last 2.5 games. So that's something that we'll get into, but let's talk about the positives here. I mean, you would hope you were going to get a split. And if you were looking at this, maybe the experts or maybe even ourselves would say, maybe it was game 2 that you really had a better chance at getting. And that's why you got to go out there and play all 9 innings. And this was a game, the first half of the game, you were really worried about this Mariners offense, and you thought maybe at a point there's going to be a big inning from Toronto, and that just never came.
No, it didn't. After that first inning, with Bryce, I thought quite differently about it. I thought we were in trouble. Obviously, that first pitch fastball, it wasn't just a get-me-over fastball, but it still was not the type of pitch I wanted to see to Springer for him to ambush. I need that pitch down a little more, but he on it. And then to have that really, really tough 12-pitch at-bat versus Lucas, the next batter, it just was like, or I was just like, uh-oh. The whole narrative all pregame was the Mariners played 2 days ago, 15 innings. They got nobody left in the bullpen. Everybody's been working. But man, after that inning, he settled in. Cal went out and talked to him. And the next inning, he just attacked. But he, something I haven't seen too much of him, he used his secondaries quite a bit. And they were very on point this game. And that sure helped him in keeping the Toronto Blue Jays off balance.
You're right. That was the narrative. who are they going to throw? We saw funny memes all week about this or weekend. I think the funniest one we saw was that they were going to go to Jamie Moyer on I don't know how many thousand days of rest. That's what the Mariners were going to have to do. And you know how you get through something like that, Hanno? You go out there collectively. I'm going to pull this up on the screen. You go out there and as a unit, you throw 100 pitches. So they're one off from the perfect Maddox game, right? 99 or that's the Greg Maddox, the 99 pitches as a team to get out of a game. The Mariners threw only 100 pitches, the fewest by a team to win a postseason game since the Dodgers in game 2 of the 2018 NLDS against the Braves. So that's how you answer what are we going to do when everybody's tired? Look, to have 27 pitches in the first inning and give up a home run on your very first at bat, and you'd say, we're going to get through this game on 100 pitches. I would have said, hey, did you just get some crack or fentanyl from the Ballard Bridge and smoke it right now? Because I would not have saw this.
Yeah, definitely not the way it started, for sure. But, I mean, he definitely turned it around, like I mentioned. You know, I said to you last pod I was on with you that, you know, this was going to be a tough game. But I kind of like the Mariners' chances, you know. That adrenaline can get them through that. They mentioned that on the broadcast, too, if the Mariners keep it close, and surely they did. It was awesome. It's just like, and they mentioned even on the broadcast, this is just like back in 95 after the Mariners won that extra inning game in Game 5 versus the Yankees. The Mariners stole that game. It was at home versus this one being on the road, but they went up 1-0. So we've been in this space before as fans, or a lot of us fans, so we know what to expect, and this series is no way from over.
Yeah, the 95 one, you're talking about when they won game 1 against Cleveland. Bob Walcott started the game. We had nobody to throw. And you know what? He got himself in quite a bit of trouble in the first inning, got himself out, if you can remember that. Bases loaded, no outs, got himself out of that. Bryce Miller gives up the first home run, but had traffic there to start off the game and then just absolutely went on a run. He had such an impressive performance that you forget that Gossman had the Mariners at one point, I think about 16 in a row, sending them back to the dugout with nothing to show for it.
Yeah, that's, I mean, something we can talk about. It's certainly surprising that, you know, you could say that John Snyder screwed that up again, possibly, or what have you. He went with a hook early after, 5 2/3, 70-some pitches. Sure, Cal got him. We can talk about that a bit, too, but man, he sure was doing pretty good. I thought it was a little bit early to go get that guy, especially when he's your number one. He's rested on full day's rest. It was certainly a head scratcher for me.
That's twice now in the last couple of days where the biggest turning point was when the manager went out and took an ace that was completely shoving against the Mariners. And it turns out to be the turning point. Or at least as a fan, you're going, thank God I'm liking the looks of the at-bats versus these other pitchers. And they had better at-bats. They didn't get too much there. I mean, let's credit the Blue Jays bullpen. I mean, they only gave up the one other run, correct? I mean, they pitched terrible. But I will say what is another I mean, this could be something big. You know, the Blue Jays lost this game, and they also pitched their closer in this game. So maybe that's going to come into play tomorrow. I mean, we pitched ours, but we have a win under our belt to show for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And our closer pitched a couple innings 2 days ago. I mean, sure, it could be a factor. Maybe they're not used to it. Obviously Munoz is, and we've talked about it before. I like seeing him hot every day, no time off. I think he's more superior and more on point. But yeah, it could be a factor with them. They had a totally different series than us versus the Yankees, that's for sure. So it might be a huge factor. You're right.
There's a look right now, if you're watching this on the YouTube. These are the Blue Jays fans leaving the Rogers Center right now. Very quiet and respectively leaving the Rogers Center.
Yeah, I mean, great game. Blue Jays fans seem to be great. Seen them plenty of times at T-Mobile. Nice people, but if they didn't know this already, we're not the New York Yankees, so it's going to be a pretty good series. So if they were, like we talked about, the narrative was so big about us getting, being tired, getting blown out, not having much of a chance, being the underdog. I mean, I've heard even that we stole this game. No, we didn't. We went and executed and won. I'm just saying we're not the Yankees because we're going to put up a way better series than they ever did. That's for sure.
I mean, yeah, this is what the Mariners do. I mean, this is what they were setting up for. Now, we're not going to go back into last year's, but this is kind of like how you were setting it up in game 4 of the ALDS. Same situation. Bryce Miller gets pulled a little bit earlier. I mean, but the way he was dealing today, Dan, I'm so glad just let him go. And you also kind of needed that. I wonder if everybody was fresh. Dan Wilson makes that same decision. We don't know. That's just a hypothetical thought. But, Bryce Miller going into today's game, because he didn't pitch a lot in that Detroit game, and I think he only threw 10 pitches to warm up, I believe, on Friday. Excuse me, which I was listening to Bryce Miller where he was like, that was just like my scheduled working day.
Well, he pitched in Detroit, remember?
Yeah.
So he was still
Game
on short
4.
rest, three days.
3 days.
So this was, something he wasn't used to. He mentioned in
For
his
sure.
post-game show it was different because he didn't get his bullpen, but he knew what he had to do with, guys being taxed and so many guys going out there for, the game 5. So, he absolutely just balled out. I mean, one of probably his best performance this year. We saw a lot of it in years past, the year before when he had such a good thing, but he's been battling injuries. And his location was just on. That's the key to every pitcher. I talk about this all the time. He was able to locate and change speeds, and he had them off balance.
Yeah, I'd even go as far as to say with the stakes, maybe not his absolute most dominant outing, but pretty, I would say this is the best outing he's ever given the Mariners for what the stakes are. I think we could say that about anybody that comes out and pitches right now. I mean, just we started to see a bit of it in Detroit, and we saw it here. This is the best Bryce Miller's looked in all of 2025.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's sure positive for the Mariners going forward as this, series continues and hopefully on to the next series if we're lucky enough to pull it out.
Well, we'll stay on the pitching right now. Let's talk about Spire. Gets to come out here, get to start an inning fresh after those last 2 entries into the game. It's been a rough landing for him. This was a big game for him to come back and just put all that behind him, just like relief pitchers always do. We saw Bizzardo do that there in game 5. Spire had a little bit of a hiccup there. It was like deja vu or Groundhog's Day for him. And then for him to come out here in Toronto, especially when the Mariners have a tight little lead like that and be able to come through, huge confidence booster, or just getting things back on track and refocused.
Yeah, it certainly was. The things were just going together exactly perfectly, like the Mariners, I'm sure, wanted to have it occur. Bryce went 6. He started the 7th in Spire. And like you mentioned, his last 2 outings, giving up home runs, both to lefties. You're facing the lefty center fielder, Vosher. I forget his name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, he pumped in a couple fastballs and he looked great. The key for him and the whole pitching staff today, I mean, they didn't put anybody on, at least that I can remember. It felt like they were just, not giving the free pass, as Smoltz was saying, and that was key.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big thing on our text thread that we had going on, was just like no free passes, play clean defense. They played pretty good defense. We saw some great plays. We saw one little error today, and look, Bryce Miller answered with that and didn't let that affect him. But besides that, we saw routine plays. I liked every throw that I saw go over to first base today.
Yeah, and when you say that, I think of J.P. Crawford, to call him out, because that's the guy I noticed as of late that throws have been off, but Naylor makes him look routine the way he picks it up. But yeah, each throw was, chest level high, right in the chest, and yeah, there was no problem with any of the throws today. That's for sure.
Yeah, especially that turf out there in Toronto, you kind of get the ball rather quickly, a lot quicker than you're going to get it at T-Mobile Park. So you do have the time to really gather. And I seen JP take that extra step and make those firm throws today. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you talk about the air, that was something else. Robles looking at his card, probably got caught off guard by that air. He's got it in his mouth when the ball's hit to him. He kind of played it all right. He wasn't squared up as much, and it rolled off his glove. And since he wasn't squared up, went off his left arm and for extra bases. But thank God that didn't get the floodgates open for Toronto.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he got caught off guard there. Probably, I would like to see maybe if he was even maybe in motion when that ball got hit. Maybe you're moving over to another spot. I don't know, but he looked like, to me, he thought about breaking down and then took a couple extra steps in, and then he kind of got like handcuffed there. He tried to get in front of the ball and knock it down, and for the most part, it got behind him, but it didn't roll all the way to the wall. He did get a little bit of his body in there, but I think he already hit the oh shit button before he got in front of that ball.
Yeah, I mean, usually those things come back to bite you in the ass, but luckily they didn't. But that's an area you should not have, and that needs to be cleaned up going forward, no doubt.
No doubt. We saw somebody who kind of had some questionable routes and things with Randy Arozarena in the Detroit series, comes up with a huge catch here to close out an inning late in the game.
Yeah, that ball was smoked. Let me think who it was. Santander. They moved him over to bat right-handed, and yeah, he absolutely pissed on that ball. And yeah, just a great jump by Randy Arozarena made it look easy. And yeah, that was a huge play just to keep Spire from kept him having a short outing, which was awesome to see.
Right here, though, I just pulled this up on the screen, and we'll move on from the pitching, but just want to acknowledge it one more time and acknowledge it with the numbers. You're looking at Bryce Miller, 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Gabe Spire, 1 inning, just clean zeros across. No hits, no earned runs, no walks, no strikeouts. Brash, 1 inning, 1 strikeout, no walks, no hits. Andres Munoz, 1 inning, nothing, no hits, no errors, no earned runs, no walks, and Andres Munoz only threw under 10 pitches. I think he might have thrown 8 pitches, but look at that, 99 pitches for all of that.
Yeah, just absolutely fantastic. And like you mentioned, the no walks is the biggest thing. And how many times do you see Brash and Munoz go out there and, your heart skips a little beat? They don't usually have that successful of an inning. I mean, sure, they might go 1, 2, 3, but there was no chance that they were going to have a hiccup during that inning. Either of them. They were throwing strikes. Their stuff was sharp.
Yep.
And they were pitching to contact, and it was, not loud, obnoxious outs. There was, a nice fly ball hitting the left center that Julio flagged down, and but other than that, nothing was hit hard, and it was a totally relaxing 8th, 9th for Mariner fans.
Yeah, 7th, 8th, and 9th, no walks, no free passes, just like you mentioned. None of them gave up a walk. I don't even think, as far as Brash and Munoz, I'm not even sure any of them even had a 3-ball count.
Yeah, exactly. They were aggressive and got ahead of them, and they pitched to contact, and because they were in the strike zone, you know what I mean? Everything was just what's the word I'm looking for? Nothing was they weren't the batters had to swing because everything was in the strike zone. I know that sounds pretty obvious. I don't really remember what I'm trying to say here, but yeah, they were good.
Yeah, there wasn't any big fat juicy cut. There wasn't any cookies tonight. Everything was nice and lean or absolutely deceptive. And Toronto's a team that does not strike out. Okay, well, they struck out 4 times tonight, and that's probably what we're gonna have to get accustomed to, probably around 5 or 6, but no hard contact, not much hard contact. There's a couple balls that were hit. Maybe there's a couple that were hit directly out to Julio. You had the single, you had the home run from Springer, and that's about all I can remember. It was a lot of just lazy pop flies and ground balls.
Yeah, I finally remember what I was trying to say. Every pitch that they threw to the Toronto batters was competitive. So that's what made them even more successful, you know. They went after him, and it was a competitive pitch. Even that one inning when Brash struck out Springer, you know, he set him up really good. That second strike was a slider, kind of a hanger right in the middle that that Springer fouled off. But the next one he threw was just gorgeous. 0-2 in the strike zone and out, and no chance to hit it. It was excellent pitching.
Yep. And them just going out there and getting out one every single inning. It came very early. And, you know, that's like such an important underappreciated out is out number 1. And in the playoffs, it's absolutely huge.
Yeah, out one, exactly. No walks. You know, you put the tying run or bring the tying run to the plate with a runner on. That didn't happen. I mean, they can get back in a game in a hurry, you know, lead the league in comebacks, all that power on that team. So it was just right what the doctor ordered how they performed tonight. It was awesome.
Okay, we've pretty much talked about everything about offense and defense about this game. Let's get into the offensive side. Still struggling at the plate, but again, you're seeing their ace. You just went from seeing Skubal to seeing the best that they have to offer as far as a number 1 starter, and you beat them. Sure, you're still not getting anything really from the bottom of the lineup. Or just a lot of people. I shouldn't just point out the bottom of the lineup, but, you know, Randy Rosarena, 0 for 4, does score you a run, does get on with a walk. Cal Raleigh still being the guy, you know, 2 for 4 in this game. Julio did check in with a hit. He was on a streak there. I think him looking up and not seeing the streak of zeros after, you know, it's been a week since last Sunday, game 2, where that he had any kind of offensive impact. Jorge Polanco, I mean, come on, 2 RBIs, the go-ahead run and the insurance run. Doesn't matter. Turn him over to the other side of the plate. Doesn't matter if you're going to come at him right-handed, left-handed. He's going to make you pay. This guy hits with runners in scoring position just under 400. I think he's like 380. Naylor 0 for 4. Eugenio Suarez, though he was only 1 for 4, I thought all of his at-bats were a lot better. No strikeouts in this game. Just missed a home run, and I know he got under a couple of other ones. Dom Canzone didn't seem to really put together a very good at-bat. Victor Robles got an infield single, but still just looks just not right at the plate. And JP Crawford, 0 for 4. Mariners somehow get it done just with the timely hitting of Jorge Polanco, but the big home run by Cal Raleigh is really what just energized the thing. And we were talking about just between ourselves, we're just waiting for this one moment just to ignite this team, because they got to be tired. They're human. They got to be a little bit flat, or just, you know, things weren't happening in that dumper home run, that 2 strikes as well. Just a huge home run, and then Julio gets on, and then Jorge gets the insurance run, and you've already got the starter out of there, and that's the turning point in the game.
Yeah, I'll go through the lineup like you just did there, but first I want to talk about how that first inning started. Cal rips a single, then Julio, you know, rips another single. Cal gets to third, so you got what do you got, man, on first and second, or first and third with 1 out, right?
In the first inning?
No, with a nobody out, excuse me. or yeah, 1 out because those were Rosarina
Yeah.
got out. So you got first and third. So that was a play where Cal got, cut off at the plate. I couldn't tell if the corners were in, but obviously the third baseman was in. He was playing even with the bag, and they didn't show what the first baseman was doing, so I can't say that. I would assume so, playing double play depth up the middle, but Polanco he had to do anything but hit it to third, and obviously the contact play was on again. Was hoping that it wasn't, or that maybe Cal would freeze on that, like on a line drive, and force them to go to second around the horn for a double play. But instead, that contact play was on, and he took off. And we've seen so many times the Mariners get cut off at the plate, and it was a bummer way to start the inning. That's for sure. And then with that home run followed up in the next inning, I was like, oh boy, this is not good. But getting that was kind of my opinion of that first play there. What did you think?
Yeah, the contact play hasn't worked out for us, especially with the bigger guys there. If you have your wheels on there, I don't really care for it as much. I know, I think Rick Riz doesn't like it. I know he definitely doesn't like the suicide squeeze or anything like that. But when I went back to go look at the play, I was surprised to see how close Cal Raleigh got in. I did hear them ask. I mean, got his foot in there possibly.
Good point.
They did
Good
ask
point.
Dan Wilson about that, but they said there just wasn't enough to, make a challenge at that time, and he didn't think they would have got it. It seems like that was the case. And the Mariners' instant replay has been so good this year. So I mean, if they're not going to go after it, I'm fine with it. I would just accept it. And it's early in the game. I mean, you just played a 15-inning game, 48 hours ago. You go, we might need this challenge later.
Yeah.
So I guess it was just one of those things where, okay, got thrown out at the plate, but even if the ball is hit to third, they're still going to make 1 out in that inning. So it's not the first out of the inning, so I'm not so beat up by it. Sure, the inning that followed you with the leadoff home run and all that, at the time you're like, oh yeah, I wish they would have not done that, but it would have still been 2 outs. You have a guy on at first and second instead of first and third. So is it that
You still got a chance to score? Yeah.
You still got a chance to score because I guess you're basically you've conceded 90 feet, I guess, is your punishment for trying to go home. Is you, instead of having a guy on third with 2 outs, you have a guy on second. So wasn't too bothered by that. And actually the way that they were hitting in the first inning, or their bats in the first inning, I even text you. I said the second time through the order, they're going to destroy this guy. And that's why they got to play and that's why they got to do the at bats, because that wasn't what happened. But at that time I was feeling pretty good about the offense. And then until Cal Raleigh got that home run, I was wondering if I was like, man, would it be our bad luck to go into Toronto and lose a game like 1 or 2-0 just because the bats are flat and they're tired or whatever? And we've seen the Mariners offense do that before. We've seen them go to sleep for a day or two. They have just kind of done that here in the last week. Again, they're going up against aces too. We have to give credit where credit's due, but
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen it. They're missing some pitches that we would expect them to hit, and I'm sure they would too.
absolutely.
Rosarina, I'll go through the lineup. He didn't have a great productive game, but when he did get his walk, he was very productive, stealing second and third. That was huge then to get that third run across. Raleigh, you mentioned the home run was massive. What was so massive about that home run was just how he fought and fought. And when I mean fought, he kept getting, splitters low, fastballs low in the same spot. Guzman never tried to change the eye level or anything or the spot where that pitch was. And that was a good thing for Cal because he jumped on it. Rodriguez, much better game. That hard single, couple walks. He did K. Polanco, you already mentioned him. A couple big at bats. He's been fantastic as of late, and I'm sure happy that he's in the 4th spot because every time that spot comes up in the order, it's usually him, and it's key. So Naylor, not the best of nights, but I thought he put a charge into a couple of them, but just wasn't enough. Suarez, you mentioned that leadoff double that was really close to being gone. And then the next at bat, Canzone, he did not have a good game, but I was proud of him for having a nice productive out on that. Smashed one up the middle. Second baseman got it, but it got him over. But, typical Mariners, we couldn't get him in. And then Robles was Robles, and Crawford, Robles beat out that infield single, and then Crawford made some nice defensive plays. So you want a little more to make the game a little easier for you, but that's just not always the case, especially with the Mariners. But like I said earlier, there's some pitches they got to hit, but they are missing them, and they have in this game and in last game, and you're hoping that changes soon. But like you mentioned, they're facing, top dogs on each team. So I just hopefully that they get going because they'll be deadly once they do.
Yeah, because it's coming. This is the way this offense is. We say this ad nauseum. They're the best streaky and the worst streaky offense that you're going to find, but they do find the way to grind through games like this, and that's the big difference of this team versus teams in the past. Like this team knows how to still go out there and like grind through a game like this and get a 3-1 victory, and then we could come back and maybe punch you with that pace that the Mariners had for a long time where they're scoring about 7 runs and they're only giving up 3. Well, right now it seems like, hey, they're only scoring about 4, but they're only giving up 2. And we talked about that. Maybe that number was going to kind of shrink down together and come together here in the postseason. Like we weren't going to see the 7-3. We were maybe going to see like the 5-2 or the 5-3. Well, we're kind of seeing that.
Yeah, absolutely, and you have to expect the Blue Jays for what they've been through the postseason and the numbers they've put up. They're going to put up a lot more runs, so we got to be able to counter that, which we have with our pitching, but also with our bats to be able to keep us in games and win games for us. Because our pitching staff is good enough to keep them down, but most people would say that won't be the case over a 7-game series.
Yeah, and going into tomorrow, you got another person coming out on short rest. A lot of people were pointing to that they thought it was going to be Castillo. Whatever they know that's going on under the hood with Logan and Castillo, they've decided to go with Logan Gilbert, which sets up Game 3 for Castillo back here at T-Mobile, which I like. As far as Logan Gilbert, I think he would be Game 3. Wouldn't you think? And then I think you'd go Game 4 with Kirby. And then go ahead.
I was thinking that definitely could be the case. I'm kind of in my mind hoping that it would be Kirby and then Woo in Game 4 if possible.
With that being said, would Castillo have shorter rest though? More rest than Kirby? He'd have at least quite a bit of rest because if you think about it, Luis Castillo pitched in Game 3, which was last Tuesday, and he only pitched 1 inning on Saturday or on Friday.
15 pitches, yeah.
So he is pretty rested. As far as Kirby, he tossed not a ton on Friday, but that would be shorter days rest, I believe. Either way, it'd be fine. As far as Woo, at the time of recording this, he's about to throw live BP, if that's correct.
Which is a good sign tomorrow.
Yeah, and I guess if you can go in and get this Game 2 and you're up 2-0, then you really have options here of what you want to do. And, getting Game 1, just getting Game 1 really sets you up nice. Getting Game 2 really sets you up to where getting way ahead of ourselves here. And I don't even want to say this, but you could have this wrapped up by this week.
Yeah, don't say that.
Maybe I'm going to edit that part out. Okay.
No, but you're right.
You get what I'm saying is like you can go in for the kill big time. You can rest and hold off on certain guys if need be. And I think you do want to get Luis Castillo in T-Mobile Park pitching.
Absolutely. I was just going to say that. It makes sense that you are going to hold him off and want to get him in T-Mobile, like you mentioned. Yeah, I could definitely see him going game 3, like you mentioned. With Wu, maybe he might not start. Maybe he's going to come out of the pen. So I just need to see him in this series. So he's going to pitch, in my opinion, in one of those games, either starting, I feel, in one of the 3 games, if it goes that many at home, or come out of the pen. I just feel like he's on this roster. He's been one of your best pitchers. You're going to see him. So, but yeah, I agree with you. Castillo definitely is the better choice and will be a choice to pitch at home. That's for sure.
We're just gonna wrap all this up here, because we got a 2:00 start. We're getting this out here on Sunday night, a little earlier. I think this will drop on the podcast side about 10:30. We'll take a quick break, but we just want to come back and continue our onslaught and get on our soapbox and close up with us bitching and moaning. Not bitching and moaning. Yeah, but it's bitching and moaning, but complaining and letting our feelings get out there about these ALCS start times. We'll be right back after this quick insert from SNL's Carl Tart. Go check out that episode.
The moment where that band starts to play the warm-up music, not the theme music, the music that y'all don't hear, when the energy picks up, when the audience is there, when the audience is getting loaded in and the band is playing, when all that stuff happens, it gives you a jolt of energy every week. And you're just like, man, I got to do this. I get to do this. Getting the first sketch on was like getting a single, maybe like an RBI. Getting called to Lauren's office in between dress and air and looking at the board and seeing that your sketch moved up from the 12:50 slot to the first act, that's when it's like, oh, we did something cool. That feels like a home run. That felt like a home run. That was Timothy Chalamet.
The game where you're like, okay, you got a couple of knocks. You got some home runs, maybe hit a grand slam, probably the Dave Chappelle show.
Yeah. So the Dave episode was my like, oh, he's a player, and we can like the Dave episode I could get talked about on the local ESPN affiliate the next day. Like that's what that felt like. It's like this guy might actually be adding some value to this.
You ask for the ball, right? If you're a player, give me that ball. I'm taking that home. Do you have the paper copy of that? Did you take something?
I do. I do have that. I got the cue cards from some of the jokes that I have in the sketch.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's our episode with SNL writer Carl Tart. We also have a guest coming on tomorrow's episode or today's episode after we wrap up game 2 and we do just kind of a wrap of 1 and 2 and the Mariners heading back to Seattle for games 3 and 4, possibly 5 if needed. I love that the if needed runs in our favor too, Hannah. If needed, absolutely. Game 5. We're going to be doing that with our good friend, legendary Mariners PA announcer and post-game host, and also does some stuff still with Cairo Radio, talking about Tom Hutler. So we'll be back to wrap that up. That's going to be a big treat just to hear what he's got to say about this and just get this experience of what that ALDS clincher was like versus the 95 one. So that'll be fun. Lots of fun questions to be had with him. So before we get out of here, Hannah, we got, like we said, we're not going to let MLB and this commissioner get away with this. Every episode we're going to complain about this. We just got the schedule today for all the start times for the ALCS, and we still got some bullshit start times on here.
Yeah, it's really so unfortunate, the start times, for not only us, but we get it a little bit more. We have more of the games that are starting in the afternoon. Even the Dodgers are having a 3:00 start on a Thursday, so you know that those fans in LA are not happy about that as well. So it's just poor construction of the playoff scheduling. I just like it so much better when they played on opposite days. Sure, you get more times for rest, and maybe that's not as good for the ball play as well. But I remember that being the case, and it just seemed to be a lot better to have the championship games at night, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's like everybody should live a little and stay up a little bit later and watch these things. This isn't the middle of the season. This isn't an April, May, or even summertime. I guess I guess for this Monday, a holiday I don't really acknowledge at all, given my heritage, but it's Columbus Day. So I heard that excuse that's why it's early. And I said,
And
that's
Thanksgiving.
still, yeah.
It's in Canada.
So that's why they're having it early. Okay.
I don't know, but they're having a holiday as well early. Or they're having their holiday of Thanksgiving is this weekend or tomorrow.
And then again, if we have a game 5 on Friday, that's like you were mentioning. I have it right here on the screen, just like you mentioned. Again, tomorrow or today, game 2, that is going to be a 2:03 start. Dodgers play at night. Wednesday, the Dodgers are playing at 5 West Coast time. We're going West Coast times. 5 o'clock start on Wednesday because there is nobody for us here in Seattle. Then that Thursday game, like you mentioned, another 5. Well, actually, that's 5:30. Okay, that's more like it. Then that Friday 3:00 game. And you're right, the Dodgers get that kind of treatment too. And then if there is a game 7 with the Toronto Blue Jays and the Seattle Mariners that would be played in Toronto, we got a conflict if you are a big Seahawks fan, because that's when they're going to be playing Monday Night Football. So if you're a Mariners fan, like we said, let's try to wrap this up in Seattle. That would be great. I would love them to get this game 2. If they could get this game 2, that possibly could come true, just by the way that the Mariners have played at home. But again, you got to play all these games, and the guys in the other dugout on the other side of the diamond are just as good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a curse in a way to have good Seattle sports teams all at once, and I feel like we do. Right now, it's just something that we haven't seen in a long time. I mean, it was a perfect weekend, I believe, for Seattle sports, with Friday the Mariners clinching, and then Saturday was the Kraken and Sounders, and then today again with the Hawks and the Mariners. And Saturday or Friday as well for the Dogs, but that doesn't happen too often. I always feel like it's either one or the other gets the W, but to have a weekend like this is pretty special.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a text last week when the Mariners were down or just coughed up that lead in game 2 of the ALCS, and you're like, this could possibly be one of the darker weekends in Seattle. Cut to 7 days later, this might have been one of the more successful weekends as a Seattle sports fans, and we forget all that shit that happened in game 5. That was on a Friday night, so that just kicked it all off.
Yeah, 2 days ago, but I don't know about you. It feels like a week ago to me.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm here at my mom's house. I'm going to post this, and I am going to bed. We got an early game tomorrow, and I can't wait till after that just to have another day, because from game 5 to this, you kind of had a day to kind of recover emotionally, and you were right back in it today. But quick game. It felt like this was just like a walkthrough game compared to what we went through last Friday. But we'll be back tomorrow with Tom Hutler. We're going to get out of here really quick again. When the Mariners get back to town, head on over to Pioneers Tacos and Tequila. Make that your pre and post game cantina destination at 1021 Occidental Avenue South, and get all your rye bread merch. I'm wearing this. I've worn this rye bread hoodie with every game, win or lose. This is just what I'm rocking with for the series. Maybe I'll have something over it. Maybe I'll have something under it. It's coming with me. Well, I got this from @simply.cora. Hit up @simply.cora. Get that street cred for rocking the rye bread. And also hit up In the Clutch Apparel at intheclutchapparel.com. Use that promo code rye bread and mustard, all one word. Hey, they actually have a hip hip Jorge, a new Jorge t-shirt out that people should check out. And also make sure you hit up Al's Gourmet Sausages if you need a dog to take into the game or take advantage of their 2-for-1 special after the games. Anyways, with that being said, Hanno, let's get some rest. Let's get back at it tomorrow. Hopefully we're looking at a 2-0 lead, headed back home to T-Mobile Park. And with that being said, you know what time it is. Charge.